Hello, everybody, and welcome along to EA Creator Series WRC Club on a Monday night as we head to Chile, of all places. It's going to be very great in the Group B cars. My name is Jess Ball, your commentator for today, and joining us once again, we have John, also known as Isa. John, what are you looking forward to about tonight?
Well, what is there to not look forward to be honest? A very, very tricky location in Chile. Also in winter time with a lot of snow. Spoiler alert. And also the Group B rally cars. Possibly the fastest in a straight line and some of the slowest around the corners, which means that you actually have to use the brakes, which probably means that if you're going to have a crash, it might be a big one. It will be spectacular, saying the less.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. My first rally experience since 2019-2020, so it's going to be fun. I'm really glad I'm doing this, to be honest. But before we go to the main action, we're going to be starting in about 4 minutes' time. We have got the standings that we're going to be going through. For those of you that are new to the broadcast, we have two lots of standings. We've got the standings on RaceNet, and we've got our creator standings you can see on the screen. We've got Flembar on 83 points, and you've got yours truly, Isa, on 65 points, and we got Kamikaze on 40. There's your top three. Pretty close between Mike, Punju, and Perticles in P6 as well, and obviously very tight near the bottom as well. 10 creators have taken part so far this season in Season 2, but we got 6 creators taking part tonight as well, including our championship leader, Flembar, as well. So I think it should be quite close between some of these guys, but Flembar's going to be tough to beat, I think.
Yeah, Vlembar leading the standings, but also choosing this location and car combo. So he should be near the top of the leaderboard. He almost always is. But a few other names to watch out for are Ambient Mike, and we have a new player also on the leaderboards at the moment, setting absolutely blistering times, called La Graiche. And I know him personally, and he is a very, very fast driver. So it will be interesting to see whether any of our live creators will be able to get close, if not beat, his times.
Yes, and you too, of course, could get involved in the club. We got the EA Creator Series Club on WRC on RaceNet. If you want to get involved, it closes this stage at 8 a.m. UK time tomorrow. So if you want to get involved whilst you're seeing your favourite creators, you can. You could do it now if you want to, or you could do it a little bit later on as well. There are 6 stages tonight, including a 35-kilometre stage with a power stage as well for stage 6. So that's what the creators have got to go through tonight. Most of the stages contain snow, as you were saying, with different types of today. And of course, we've got the service times every few stages too. So we've got Punju and Aero up first as well. And we've got snow to kick us off, but you know about this track. You did a bit of practice. What could you tell us about this track, and why are the creators finding it so difficult?
Well, Chile is one of those locations where the corners don't allow you to get into a rhythm. There are some very fast corners followed by hairpins, and all of the time you're either rising onto a mountain or descending into a valley. So the braking zones, the traction, the lateral grip is always changing, and add to that snow, and it just creates a disaster class of effects for potential chaos. However, we do like a little bit of chaos on this live stream, so it will be interesting to see. And also with the Group B cars, sometimes they can be very unpredictable into the braking zones. Their differentials not as advanced as what we got with the Group B and later, Group A and later WRC cars. And so it's sometimes you can arrive in, especially if you have worn tires, you can arrive into a braking zone, just lock the brakes, spin around, and get into all sorts of trouble. Other than that, the weather conditions plus the stage times can be very difficult because you get reflections on your screen from the low sunlight. Sometimes it's very difficult to see because there's a lot of trees in this location, so if it's particularly dark, which it will be for BOBO, the last stage, starting at dusk, probably ending in complete darkness, you really need to pay attention, and with the amount of obstacles as well, you don't need to break those lights if you want to survive. And I think Punju is about to start.
Yep, the engines are revving very soon for Punju. He's going to be the first one out, and he is in the Audi this evening, which is the car I potentially would have gone for if I was here racing tonight, or I would have gone for the Peugeot because it has a bit more horsepower. This car had 2 World Constructors Championships in 82 and 84, and 2 World Drivers Championships, and 2 very well-known drivers too. So we've got two of the creators about to get underway, and here they are then, about to negotiate a very tough circuit, but one of the least treacherous in all of the event tonight, because obviously it will get worse for some of the stages, but it will get better in some of the stages too. But it's starting off in the morning as well. Less shadows for now, but expect it to be more difficult as the event goes on. And those two did very, very well so far. I'm prepared that I'm probably going to jinx people tonight. I always do. So I do apologise, but they seem to be keeping it clean so far.
Yes, indeed. The start to this stage is actually quite fast, as you can see, but we will start to meander up the mountains that you can see there in the distance. One of the peculiarities of this stage is that it really, really is difficult to keep a rhythm in this one, because you get used to this high-speed, flat-out environment, and then in a minute you'll see we have a steep climb coming up to a chicane for Punju in just a second. But after that, you've got a couple of corners, and then you begin this climb that never stops until the end of the stage. And so for the Quattro especially, which is a very old-school car, you've got the understeer of it being front-engined, and also just the sheer amount of horsepower. I think 476 in-game brake horsepower. And I'd just like to say the parallels with Aerotech starting as well in the newest Group B car, which was the RS200, which was a thoroughbred-built Group B car with the engine, mid-engined, everything designed perfectly around the regulations. I do like the parallels with that.
I do as well. I think the other cars that are, I think the Audi's the only front-engined car. Every other car that the drivers have got in offer for all the stages are mid-engine. Audi is front-engined, so but Punju's gone for a choice I would have gone for as well, because I love the Audi. But best place finish in the Ford car was 3rd place in Sweden back in real life, 1,050 kilograms in weight, and was reimagined by the legendary Ken Block as well, which something is quite close to my heart as well. As the time to beat in the RaceNet standings so far is set by Gresh, who's in the chat. Unfortunately, his PS5 crashed on stage 2, which I'm absolutely gutted for him for that. 5-minute 14.6 is what that they want to be. As I just said, that Punju had a little bit of an off.
Yeah, Punju, just clipping the logs on the inside there. You want to take a little bit of an inside line to get hooked up on the rocks, but the problem is the logs are right next to it, and I think he just got the bodywork caught on it and spun round. Not too bad. Also, Aerotech having a little bit of an off a couple of, maybe about 20 seconds ago now, hitting a steel pole, which cannot be very good for the car, that's for sure. These Group B cars are not the most solid. Once again, clipping just a tiny bit. It's very easy to roll these cars on these stages. There's so many little banks and other obstacles that you can hit. Very, very tricky. I'm surprised to hear that for Grace about the crash that he had. Very rare thing to happen, actually, in my experience. So very unlucky for him. He was setting blistering stage times up until that point, so I think he can take all the consolation from that, at least. And as you can see now, we're going into the hills, and I think they're on the exact same part of the course, near enough, as Punju clipping the banks. Once again, you can get punctures here. It's got to be, you know, a very risky start from Punju, I must say.
And the question is about the tyres as well, with the different type of conditions. They got to choose wisely, because the next service area for the event tonight is stage 3, so that's going to last for 2 stages, as Punju has had a bit of a flip. And as we just said, that's not going to be good with the car, at least. Hopefully it's not a puncture. And he's back on the track, so no reset penalty for him, which is a leave too. Let's hope he hasn't chosen the wrong tyres so far. And I think Aero's going to probably finish the course first for stage 1. But to finish first, you first have to finish. And how on earth did he survive that? I just don't know.
Well, it was quite a low-speed roll. I was thinking he was in second or third gear. The gear ratios are quite short here, so not carrying too much speed, but it can damage the aerodynamics, and I think it has on his car. Thankfully, this is not the highest speed location, but it does make a difference, I can tell you that much. And as you can see, they're both on the exact same stretch of road here to a couple of seconds, going into this right-hander junction. Both of them struggling for speed through there. The tyre strategy should be a fairly simple one here. It should be soft, or the softest compound. Didn't really check which tyres were available, but the softest compound, and then for the first 2 stints, and then the hardest compound for the last 2 stages, because you've got that 35-kilometer stage at the end. It's going to be very, very tricky to manage the tyres, because Chile in real life and in the game is one of the locations that just choose the tyres. The gravel is very, very abrasive, and last year we had a spectacle where the Toyotas in real life took the softest compound tyre, and by the end of the morning loop they just had punctures and had no spare tyres to replace them. So we could see a few people struggling with tyre wear here.
Yeah, so they've got to obviously be more cautious in terms of the tyres as well, and obviously in the first few stages, because they know they're not going to last long. So if they have too many crashes, that's where incidents happen. And if it's obviously a DNF, then it's a DNF. And it's not going to be that long before they finish, as Punju heads to the finish line. And it is a 6:13, if I can see on my screen. Yeah, there we go.
6:13 it was.
Yeah, 6:13 for Punju.
Setting basically exact same times from both of them within a couple of seconds, I think. So very, very even in terms of the times. And just within the top 100, they're 98th place. For Punju. Not the start that I think he would have wanted, to be honest. I think he'll be surprised at the gap. And 6:13 there, as I said, from Aerotech. Incredible. What a coincidence that the drivers both made mistakes, and they're within a couple of tenths. Let's see where Aero is. 93rd, so just ahead. And I know the rivalry will start already, as we've got Mr. Kamikaze and Vlembar in the stages here. 2 of the fastest drivers of our broadcast here. As Vlembar looked like he had a problem there getting out of
my
the
first is fine. My second is
junction. That was a bit weird handling. It looked like he had a huge amount of understeer. And Mr. Kamikaze has completed. I can't see his stage time just yet, but hopefully he'll scroll down to it. It looked like a fairly clean run. There he is, 13th place. I just managed to catch it, 13th place while he was scrolling through. Incredible time, actually. He is in the Delta S4, if I remember correctly. And that car can be tricky to handle. Vlembar is as well. It looks like all of our fast drivers, or they call them esports drivers, have taken the Delta S4, which is interesting, seeing as the top 2 times on this stage are in the 205 T16.
Yeah, I was expecting those drivers to go for the Peugeot due to the horsepower that it has and the history that it's had as well. But the drivers want a challenge, of course, and we also got Mike and Viper on doing their stage as well. So we got more drivers ready to take the scene, as Vlembar is just about to finish, and it looked very, very tidy from Vlembar. So we're going to see what the stage time is once the game decides to load.
Yeah, a driver that's only interested in first place. I know he's very, very competitive. And
he must have made a mistake.
6:25, he's definitely made a huge mistake there. But no reset penalty. I wonder if he got a puncture. I honestly think that he had a puncture, at least in the last portion of that stage, because he was turning in and getting absolutely no steering whatsoever. 2 of our drivers here, by the way, in the Metro 6R4. Ambient Mike, a very fast driver as well, and Dark Viper, also fast. It's going to be interesting, because this car is severely underpowered. It's the only car without a turbo, essentially, in this car class. And it's also rear engine, so it can be very, very difficult to drive if you get a lot of tyre wear. It'll be interesting to see whether the lack of horsepower actually helps them in making fewer mistakes. So far, we've seen a lot of mistakes on and off camera for our drivers, and I wonder if that will make a difference.
I think it's for some drivers it's going to be damage limitation, and sometimes you want to go for the MG Metro 6R4 like Mike is, just to make sure you can get your car planted in the right place as well. Largest engine, smallest output, but it was rated in the top 5 best Group B rally cars by Red Bull, so it is well known in the community with this car. But many people don't want to drive it. But Mike has a good preference with that so far. In second gear through that corner, it's nice he has the gears through there, because it helps us get a little bit of an idea. You can see he's around about in the 5-minute 25s so far on his run, and Dark Viper must have made a mistake earlier on his lap as well. He was definitely struggling earlier on too, unless he's on the second stage. Are they on the second stage or the first? It's hard to tell.
First stage. This is the first stage.
Ah, right. Yeah, this is the first stage. So yeah, Dark Viper definitely made a mistake early on in that, which is a bit of a shame, but at least he's still going, of course. And yeah, Mike is about to finish.
Yeah, I think Ambient Mike's done okay on this stage. The time was about a 5:40, something like that. So not up to his usual standards. I know another driver that likes to go for, well, 15th place. I said nothing, actually. 15th place, not bad. Obviously, you'll be losing seconds in this car. Interestingly enough, I was going to say about this car, the Metro 6R4, it did a lot better in Rallycross when they actually put a turbo on it.
Oh, Dark Viper's still going, by the way. He's like, he doesn't know where to stop by the marshal. But there we go. He's got it going eventually.
And the camera's inverted once again. We had a strange issue last week where the camera was just inverting itself at random points. I think he's got a phone and got the rotation always switched on. It might be changing or something like that, but a very interesting thing to happen. Anyway, back to the Metro 6R4, as we've got people into stage 2 already now, Punju and Aerotech. 6R4, they Will Gollop took the 6R4, put a turbo on it, or 2, if I remember correctly. It generated about 600 brake horsepower then, and took it to the European Rallycross Championship, and was very successful in it. So if only they'd had enough time to develop that car a bit more and put a turbo on it, and make it a bit more drivable. But such is the life. Group B was such a short-lived set of regulations that only a few manufacturers actually had a proper attempt at making a car.
Yeah, I mean, this stage probably less difficult than stage 1 in terms of conditions. Of course, it was snowing a bit in stage 1. Stage 2 is just cloudy. For our creators as well, as Punji keeping it relatively steady so far. They're around about the same part of the track. Of course, you can get involved in the club. Now, I'm looking at the RaceNet club right now, and the time I've seen in first place is absolutely remarkable. We know Baconator is a quick driver. The second quickest time is 15 seconds slower than Baconator's time, and he's in the Peugeot. So, and you want to know the time? 5 minutes and 2. So I know some of the creators won't be able to beat that, but for those of you that are watching on the broadcast, if you want to be on top of the standings for stage 2, that's the time you need to be. I don't think I could beat that at all. I would probably be in the 6 minute or 7 minutes or something. So that is just a very quick time around this stage. He must have hardly made any mistakes with that car as well. So I expect in this stage the Peugeots to be quicker. I've seen people in the Lanciers as well. The quickest Audi, which is a car Punju is driving at the moment, he's in 20th with a 5:39. So if Punju gets around about the 5:39, 5:40, maybe 5:50 mark, that'll be okay with that type of car. We'll see if he could do anything as well. So we're riding on board with him now. Flicks the car. He almost got and crashed again, but luckily he spawns the car again in the right place. A lot easier this time round, and a bit more committed compared to the last time round as well. I think I remember this is the first stage you ever done in WRC when you got the game. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Yumbel, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Anyway, it was the first stage. I did it in a Rally 1 car and crashed about 50 times trying to understand the boost system. But it was very, very fun. It's the reverse of stage 1 for us in this event. And it's the exact opposite problem as we see Vlembar going just clipping, I think, a branch or a bush there and getting dragged off of the side of the road and then hitting the tree. Thankfully, most of the cooling and all of that for this car is in the rear, so it won't be affected too much. I hope he doesn't have radiator damage, but definitely very tricky start for a driver that I thought would be one of the favourites. I was going to say also that most of these cars are very, very difficult to set up because they have such a narrow operating window. If you make a few tweaks to the car, it can have such a dramatic effect, and you can go from understeer to snap oversteer, and it can be really difficult. So sometimes taking a more stable car can get you a lot better results. For Kunju though, this downhill section might be a lot worse than the uphill because all of that weight on the front of the Audi is going to be very, very treacherous. On board with EXR Kamikaze here, one of the guys trying to push flat out in the Delta S4. This car, I'd say the easiest to drive on default setup. If you've got a good setup, it can become even easier, but that supercharger and turbocharger really make the power delivery quite stable, and it's got generally quite good tyre wear. Probably one of the favourite cars, even though the top times so far have been set by the 205. But the 205 T16 is just a rocket in that it's uncontrollable but very, very fast. And going back to Baconator, he is, I want to call him Colin McCrash, but that would be a bit of an insult because he has genuine pace, but he has this tendency of not finishing a rally, and I hope this time he can actually get a time on the board and finish the rally, maybe in the top places at least. But as you can see, they're onto the very fast, well, for Kamikaze, onto the very fast section now at the end.
Yeah, so tidy from Kamikaze there as well. Obviously, it's hard for the visibility right now, as you can see, of course. And I see a lot of you in the chat getting involved with the rally as well. I saw Matt's time with a 5:35 in the Peugeot. Decent time for him, as Aero and Punch just about to finish their rally. So the time to beat, as he's got it covered up by the camera. There we go, 5:55 for Aero. That's a respectable lap time from him. I was expecting most of our creators to be around about that time. So that looks pretty good for him. And yeah, Punji is just about to finish, and he's just hit the marshal again.
It's actually sometimes safer because the stop zones are very, very short. So if you end up trying to stop, you can spin out and damage your car. I was about to say, the RS200 has not done very well in this stage at all. And actually, hang on, their times are near enough exactly the same again for Punjo and Aerotech, so they are absolutely, being rivals at this point, and I think that means that Punjo overall overtakes Aerotech by a couple of seconds. But on that stage, the Quattro and the RS200 not doing very well. I think the extra weight downhill might be affecting them a lot.
5:52.7.
Yeah, I think so as well. That's probably it is quite a difficult stage for the drivers due to the elevation changes. And
a couple of corners.
who we're seeing now going through the standings? Oh, for P3. So 5:24. So he's top out of the ones who is racing tonight in the creator standings. So he is the driver to beat so far in the stage, which he's aiming for top 10 tonight. That's what he wants to be. Flembar, I know, could go quicker, but there has been some moments where he prone that he could make a bit of mistakes, but he did win last time out as well. And
Viper very happy
Viper 94.
Yeah, very happy with that time it looked. He was arms up in the air celebrating. So yeah, with these cars, honestly, just making it to the end of a stage can be a victory. And hang on, who's that with a puncture on the front?
That's Kamikaze that's had a puncture.
Vlembar. Another puncture for Vlembar.
Vlembar.
Incredible. That's 2 punctures in 2 stages. This guy cannot get a break on this one. I think maybe just pushing a bit too much, or maybe that little incident that we saw hitting the tree was enough to give him a puncture. These cars are very fragile, so it wouldn't surprise me, actually, that there would be a problem, but not going the way that he wanted to. 6:22 is, wow, it's way down. It's more than a minute off the lead.
Yeah, I mean it's just so easy to get a puncture when you're pushing the car on those soft tires, and you're not going to be on the hards until a little bit later into the stint, into the event as well. So that is a bit of a shame, of course. But it is going to be, I think, easier for some drivers for stage 3. I'm looking at the YouTube chat, by the way, the EA Sports WRC chat. Hello. We're not ignoring you, I promise. Trying to look at 2 chats at a time is difficult for me at times, but we're getting there. Baconator said he did a bad oopsie on stage 3, which is that's not usually like him at the moment. So yeah, he's not currently top of stage 3. It's Lowell who's top of stage 3 with a 5-minute 26. So yeah, Punju, we're about to go for stage 3 as well as Aero as well. So Kamikaze, the time to beat right now. You panicked me earlier on that we thought the Kamikaze was having a puncher, but no, it wasn't Kamikaze. He's all good. It didn't look like he had a puncher. So you can see Aero is seeing if he's got any repairs to his car, because I believe, I'm just trying to see, is that the next service that they can make any changes?
Yeah. We could do an interview if we like with Mr. Punju. It would be interesting to see his thoughts. Hello, hello. How's it going so far? Is it tricky to drive?
It is the definition of tricky. ST Rocka Rock is tricky. Yeah, this is insane, dude. Holy smokes. I'm so mad at Vlembar for this combo right now, dude. It's been fun though.
So what's the most tricky thing at the moment then? Is it the stage conditions, the car, or both?
Yes. I think I think it's actually, rather than like actually the stage, the car, and any of that kind of stuff, it's more so the me and how do I rein myself in to then work with the stage in the car? Because I always recognize, like, hey, I'm the common denominator, right? Like, I am the problem, as Taylor Swift would say it. And so I recognize that it's my fault that I can't rein in this power. So that is the hardest part, is I like power. And when I have it, I want to use it all. But when you're on snow, in non-snow tires, in really bad conditions, with really tight, windy roads, you shouldn't be using that power. So that's been the hardest problem, I think.
So I'm getting the thing of use the accelerator, but don't use the accelerator. Am I correct in that?
That's the one. It's weird, though, because you need the accelerator, too, because like these cars don't have handbrakes in real life, right? And I'm a sucker for realism, so I'm trying my best not to touch my cheater bar. And so I'm having to clutch kick my way out of every single corner, like every single hairpin. And so I'm trying to use the accelerator pedal, but when I touch it, I die. So, like, you know, what do I do?
Well, the good old Scandinavian flick was invented for a reason, and I can imagine it's very difficult to use that because the cars are very, very wide compared to some of the other cars. So, yeah, maybe try that. But we've had 2 punctures actually from one of our drivers already, Vlembar. So maybe the cautious way is actually the way to go.
He's on 2 already? Wow, I thought he'd only been on 1. Okay. Feel a little better now.
1 for each stage.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the first stage. Definitely the second stage we saw a puncture, but the first stage, this time for some reason was way off, so we're suspecting a puncture.
What is this weather on the 3rd stage? Oh my gosh.
Heavy snowfall at Rio Claro. Have I said that right?
Man, it's Rio Claro. Gosh, who set this up? Whoever could have designed this. They're crazy.
It could be worse. It could be at night with the snow, and I can tell you, you can't see anything if there's heavy snow and night conditions.
If I recall correctly, it's going to be, actually, so that's going to be
in the final stage, luckily it's light snowfall, so you're all good. It's not heavy snowfall. We're too nice not to give you heavy snow for the long stage that we've got later on.
Gosh, man, I would have been really mad at myself if I did that to myself. Would have been a little silly. But let's have some fun. Let's go do this thing.
Yeah, but I hopefully we'll speak to you a little bit later on as well.
I'm sure you will. Thanks, Jess. Thank you, Mr. John. Appreciate you guys.
Good luck. Oh, he didn't hear that one. Well, too late. I guess no good luck for Mr. Punju. It's always wonderful to have a chat to him because he's got so much to say, so much comments to make on the car, the handling, the stages. It's really, really good to get an insight from the drivers because watching it is one thing, but driving it is another. And sometimes
I believe we've also got, we also got an interview with Dark Viper. Hello, Dark Viper, can you hear us?
Yeah, hello.
Now, we were watching your POV at the end, and you looked very happy after you finished that second stage. How was it for you so far?
Oh, it's been great. Usually I DNF the first stage like every time. I've got to the final turn and flew off the track because I just let off.
Oh.
I have like 100 miles an hour into a tree, but the car still looks good. The second stage was so much better. I finally found a rhythm.
Well,
Yeah,
that's not
because-
something I was expecting to hear at Chile, of all locations. So, how are you getting into that rhythm? Because a lot of other drivers struggling, it seems, or Punju at least telling us that it's quite difficult. How have you found that rhythm?
I don't know. I just quite enjoyed. Like last time, I said I enjoyed, the softer tires on the wet track. I just like that it slides around more. I don't know why.
Yeah, so
yeah.
getting a bit more oversteer than rather than understeer. Interesting.
Yeah,
Very
I don't make
interesting.
setups on the cars, so I've got what I've got.
That's a very bold and brave decision because these cars are very, very treacherous. How are you finding the snow conditions? Is it affecting your visibility or anything else?
Honestly, I didn't know how to practice in the snow, so I didn't practice that either. So I'm just this is my first time in the snow as well, so like I'm just having fun, to be honest.
That sounds
What more
brilliant.
can I say?
What more can you say? What more can you want, to be honest, from Rally? It's Rally is one of those things where it's a great adventure, and you seem to be having one at the moment. And yeah, I will say it's great that you've made it past stage 1, and I can honestly hope that you can get to the end at this point. But I don't want to say too much because I know I have a history of
Yeah.
jinxing.
I'm one gone.
Yeah, John is known for his jinxing in the WRC broadcast, so if there's any moment where he starts to jinx you, I could shut him up if you like.
Yeah. Quiet him down till I've crossed the line, then he can say what he wants.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not going to say anything either. You're safe with me. You're safe with me.
All right, thank you. Oh.
Anyway, good luck for your run. I hope that everything goes well. I think you're all repaired and set to go, so wish you all the best.
Thank you, guys.
And that was Dark Viper, as all of our creators are now either getting started with their lap or just about to start stage 3, of course, which is, as I was saying earlier, it was the fastest time was a 5:26 set by Lowell, and Gretesh second, 5:40, so 13 seconds separating with the two of them so far. And see quite a few names in the chat as well, in there as well. Take a part. You can, of course, take a part on our EA Sport WRC Club for the EA Creator Series. Just find us and you can join, and you can still get involved with Rally Chile. It closes at 8 a.m. tomorrow, and Punju's just had a bit of a spin once again, but he's got back going again, which is great to see. We're back to snowy conditions around it. He's not doing very well, is he?
He had the pulls for dramatic effect before that one, but it wasn't enough to save him. I think he was going for a cheeky reset, but forgot that you can't do that anymore. But yeah, it's so difficult. Sometimes the snow really distracts you from the racing line. You can't really see where the stage goes, especially on gravel rallies, because it all just blends into one on certain corners, and you get the impression that you're on the line, but actually you're drifting too wide. And once you realize it, you're already too far or too fast, or not going sideways enough, and you just can't recover the car. But I can see also some drivers having more fog than others, so the reduced visibility will be even sort of another problem to bring forward. So you're going to have to listen to the pace notes more, and just maybe hesitate over crests and stuff like that. Very, very tricky. Obviously, the mountains really not helping with the humidity, with the fog in bad weather conditions.
Now, I believe Evo has finished his run with a 6:17 was his lap time in that stage. which is around about 40, 50 seconds.
51 seconds off from what I can read, 79.
Oh,
But that's not bad, honestly.
That is pretty decent for him. That is very good with that type of car, of course. We still got Punju, Dark Viper, and Mike currently doing the stage right now as well. And Mike usually tends to do very well around this type of stage. Punju pausing again for dramatic effect, but is he going to get the car going? Oh, maybe.
Might have some sort of technical issue, maybe. I've
Yeah.
seen this once or twice before, but I hope not, because
I have not either.
one of the rallies you don't want to have a technical issue on is one where there's constant corners, which Chile is well known for.
Yeah,
It might be. I'm getting
it's-
some information. Oh, Kamikaze just doing the same as Punju, basically. Just miscalculating the speed into the corner and just sliding off the track, but four-wheel drive system able to recover. I'm getting the info that it could be a wheel swap for Mr. Punju for, redemption in his live stream. So it could be, and it has happened before. So info coming in for us, although it's quite a long wait, so I'm not sure. Yeah, it's quite long at this
Someone from
point.
his chat can
Suspicious.
tell us as well what's going on. That will be good. I know Punju might be streaming still. Quite a lot of our creators you can find that they're streaming on their channels. As Kamikaze has just
20th
finished
place.
the stage. What's going
29
on.
seconds off.
I know
That's a
Punju
good
might be
stage
streaming
time as
still.
well,
Quite a
seeing
lot
as
of our
the
creators you
the
can
second
find that
place
they're
is already
streaming
13,
on their
14
channels.
seconds off. So
Kamikaze has
that
just
is a good
finished.
one.
That's
from Mr. Kamikaze.
really good for Kamikaze right now. So he's just finishing. And then we've got, I think, Dark Viper on the left, still going strong. So is Mike as well. Interestingly, that they've opted for, obviously, you can see more of the fog in Mike's view compared to obviously what we're seeing with Dark Viper currently as well. Now, if I was Dark Viper, I would probably be aiming for the 6 minute mark, but I think you can tell for him it's just about damage limitation there as well. That was very tidy from him so far through this lap as well. Make sure it's important that you follow the pace notes, especially around this track, because if you do not listen to it at all, that's where mistakes happen. So he's doing very nicely at the moment. But believe it or not, in stage 2, I think he was in the top 1. Oh, does he graze a little bit of the wall on the right? But I think he's okay. He's still got the car in the right place.
Lucky. I think he misclicked something on his wheel. Misclicked something on his wheel and started looking to the left as Punju completes the stage. I wanted to say about this stage, it's a completely different one to, as we got 84th place, I think, for Punju, 52 seconds off. So a couple of mistakes, a spin, as you mentioned before, and yeah, but getting to the end, once again, top 100, can't disrespect that whatsoever. But this stage, very, very tricky if you're having to rely on the pace notes with fog and all of that, because there's so many blind crests, and contrary to the previous stage, you really can't see much apart from the tree line sometimes. So a bit like in Finland, you just have to follow the tree line sometimes and hope that it sends you in the right direction. But as you can see, there are some gaps, and this very, very tricky stage, because I think the average speed is slightly higher in this stage, at least for a couple of sectors. Ambient Mike completing the stage there, as we can see, and Dark Viper nearly at the end. Let's have a look at the stage times if we can. So 20 seconds just behind Mr. Kamikaze there by 600ths of a second.
Wow.
That was the difference.
I did say Mike's stage looked pretty good there. You could tell he was enjoying it. I really could. So I had a feeling it was going to be a good one and close to Kamikaze's lap time. So good job between both of them too. And it's not long before Dark Viper finishes stage 2, and I was right. He's about to reset. There we go. He's going to get a 30-second penalty.
Oh, and that is going to apply as well, because he didn't cross the finish line. You can get a penalty after the finish line, and it can be not applied to your time. But he crashed on just the last corner once again. He's DNF'd on the last corner before, but
I thought it was game over.
It was a reset penalty. I was worried for a second that it would be a permanent DNF, but a 30-second penalty is quite the damage already.
I think he's believed that it was not a DNF. 6:44, I believe, was his time, but it could have been the 6. I think in the 6:14s without that. So that would have been a pretty good time for Dark Viper if he didn't have that
Top
penalty.
100.
Top 100,
time as
yeah.
well. So he's got
Another
the pace.
top 100, yeah. He's got the pace, and he obviously, if you know him, he plays F1 a lot as well, but he loves his WRC as well. So great to see our F1 creators have a go a bit of rallying, just like I'm having to go at some rallying commentary for the first time in 4 or 5 years. But we're on stage. I'm just trying to see what stage we're on.
Stage 4 now. For
Stage
Punju
4.
and Aerotech.
Afternoon, 8.1 kilometers afternoon, light snowfall. 5:36 is the time to beat. Set by Gretsch Tech right now on the stage. And I'm just trying to see. By the way, well done to Monkey Matt on the last stage. By the way, 9th place overall. And with a 5:48 in Rio Claro, so good job with him with that time in the Peugeot. He seems to be ploughing on with his creators as well, so good job for him so far. But I think Ari just made a little bit of mistake earlier on in that stage. But what can you tell us about this stage, John?
Well, if I am correct, it's the repeat of last stage, inverted. So you're now going uphill. If I'm correct, I will just check that. But essentially, you are just having to deal with the tire wear now, which is more of a problem with the snow, because although it's wet road conditions, that gravel is still extremely abrasive, and I do know that the balance of these cars can change in a few corners. I've had it once where I had severe understeer and then all of a sudden the tires just gave out completely, and I went to 4-wheel drifting. It was very, very fun. Would not recommend, however, because it's very, very tricky to keep going for less or more than 2 corners. Punju really clouting the wall there. Very, very lucky to get away with that, because sometimes it can really pitch you into a spin. Yeah, it's just a very difficult stage, because once you're going uphill, you tend to forget that you're going so fast in these Group B cars. Punju mentioned it's the horsepower and all of that. It's no joke, and I think our drivers here are actually doing a fantastic job of keeping it on the road. This is some of the best Group B driving I've seen in this game, if I'm quite honest. Well, I just jinxed him there, flat out there. Punju straight away off into the barrier as soon as I said that.
You said you would have jinxed him tonight, and look what you did.
I cannot believe it. It's happened again. That is 100% ratio each live stream. I have jinxed Punju. I am single-handedly making sure that he cannot retain his championship from season 1. But he'll thank me for that later, no worries. Extra entertainment. And it looks like he's struggling with the front end being so heavy on that Quattro, trying to get the car rotated. As he said, not using the handbrake. And so he's going to have to chuck the car, be a bit more aggressive. If you go and watch old footage of Group B, they are very aggressive into the corners, because they're having to use weight transfer rather than the handbrake to get the car rotated. And especially in a location like this, where you're always 3rd or 2nd gear, and especially if you're going uphill, you're going to have to be extremely aggressive.
Well, you're not the only one that's jinxed Punju. I think when Fitching War was watching in the chat, he said that Punju was looking quick, and then he had a bit of a spin. So you're not the only one to have jinxed Punju. So it might have been Fitching first. Well. Yeah, and he just crashed too. So
Yeah, you'll take that one. I'm not taking the credit for that one.
That's we're all even then, John. Right? We're all even with Punju's jinxing.
It would be better if it was 0-0, but we'll take it.
Yeah. But I would rather have either both of us jinxing or none at all. There we go. And Fitching was asking, is it just the 4 of them? No, it's not. We got, I think, 6 creators tonight. And of course, anyone could take, of course, anyone could take part in the club as well. You have until tomorrow. That's the beauty of WRC. Even though we've got creators taking part in the live stream, you can, of course, get involved in the club. Just search us on RaceNet. We are the EA Creator Series. You're able to join 2,438 members we have in the club. So a big thank you to those of you that have joined us so far. After this, we've got, I think, 4 more stages still to go.
Two more.
No,
Two
4
more
more.
stages.
No, 4 more events. Sorry, my
4
bad.
more rounds. Yes.
Yeah,
indeed.
4 more rounds, 2 more, 2 more stages to go.
Numbers.
It's
They're
been a
not
long
my
day.
strong point either.
I'm getting used to the rally terminology because I haven't done it in so long. So, yeah, so we've got 4 on screen now, and we've also got 2 that they're just starting their runs as well. So they're all incremented into times as well. So they're not starting at the same time, so we can have equal footing for all of our creators that are taking part, because quite a lot of them are streaming, and there's quite a few esports drivers in there as well, just to show us all how it's done in a way too. So yeah, that's all how it's going as well. But yeah, and he said he prefers to watching and getting annoyed at myself at rally. Fair enough. So he's a big fan of rally, but he doesn't want to get involved in it. Fair enough. You're like me. Every time I make a mistake, I always get a bit frustrated with myself. But there we go. But the track surface is a little bit more difficult, but it looks absolutely beautiful. That was very close from Punji again.
He just got so lucky with that. He clipped the rear on, I think, one of those yellow and black posts that you can see on the outside of the corners, and somehow he managed to get the front tires to get some traction and rotate, because otherwise that would have been a huge crash. And as you can see, this last section here is really noticeable for going downhill, and you've got to be flat out into the finish line. But it's so easy to go onto the bank like that, like Punju has done, and crash into the finish line. I've definitely not done that before myself. But it seems like everybody has completed so far, and Mr. Kamikaze completing, I can see off your screen right now, but he has completed at exactly the same time. So we had 3 drivers on our point of view that finished at nearly exactly the same time. So we'll be able to get some times for you shortly here. I think Aerotech first one in 86th place, 54 seconds. Just proves how quick everybody's going. Punju in 99th place, 58 seconds. So they're within a couple of seconds once again of each other. The rivalry is continuing.
It's definitely there. I like this rivalry between our WRC creators. It's brilliant. And look even with Pudgy's mistakes, it looked quite tidy for the rest of it as well. So great job for him. But 2 more stages to go after this one, and we've still got Dark Viper and Mike still on that stage at the moment. Mike could be one of the creators to beat in some of the stages so far, because on the last stage he looked absolutely committed through there as well. And I can't see what time he's on at the moment, but it's looking quite decent for him so far, as it's not that long until he completes halfway, as Dark Viper's has done 4 minutes and 30 already. And Mike is slightly ahead, 4 minutes and 46 seconds so far. So it's not going to be that long before those 2 finish. As you just saw, a little bit of a leaderboard.
If my calculations, he's about 10-15 seconds ahead of Dark Viper on the timings at the moment. And I must say, I have so much respect for both these drivers taking the Metro 6R4, not the easiest car to drive. I think we have Aerotech ready for an interview here. Let's see if we can get him on board.
Immediately ate shit.
Oh, hello, Mr. Aerotech. Good timings.
Mr. Electronic Arts, I do not condone the language that I use. I apologize.
So, we can gather from the end of that sentence that it's not been smooth sailing for you so far.
Honestly, that was my first mistake. Me and Punju have been basically on top of each other the whole rally. Like I think I'm a little bit better in the really slow technical parts, and he's been pushing harder than me. So on that stage, I don't know if anyone saw it, there was a 3 short, and I'm like, okay, it's a short, so I can kind of just carry a little bit more speed and turn the wheel a little bit harder, and maybe it'll just slow down. But I guess because of these older cars, it doesn't there's no side bite. It doesn't cut speed as much when you're sideways in the dirt. So I just bounced off a rock wall and spun it out, and then that's my first big mistake of the rally, because I think that me and Punju had an analogy when we were talking. We're basically like the Solberg brothers. He's Petter, he's got more pace, but he likes hitting things, as it turns out.
So you're Oliver then.
Yeah.
Let me just make another comparison to the Solberg brothers. Is that you basically managed to make a mistake near enough at the same time on that stage as well, and that happened also to the Solberg brothers in real life. So the comparison continues, as they say.
You
Yes.
see?
You're
I want my Swedish
insane.
passport.
Well, it's paradoxical because the mistakes are happening, and yet you're losing the exact same amount of time compared to each other. So battle on into the last couple of stages. That 35-kilometer stage, what do you think of it?
Every long stage we've done in Creator Series, there's always people that like get comfortable like halfway through, start pushing, and then make mistakes. So my whole like total thought process is get the car to the long stage as good as possible. I'm gonna hit stuff. I don't have the skill ceiling that some of the really good guys in here do. And just minimize mistakes. If I hit stuff like little bonks of the tree, like losing 2 seconds on a corner from slowing down a bit too much is going to be a lot better than losing 40, 50 more for like a puncture or something. So that's kind of just get the car to that stage and then drive it like 70% because I know people I'm racing are going to make mistakes.
In terms of tires, what tires do you have left? The harder compound tires, or have you gone for
Yeah,
a
that was my
softer?
idea. I went with the 2 super softs. I thought about doing it the other way around, but I didn't want to risk getting into a 20-minute stage with worn tires. So I'm going to put the harder ones on now. I think it's just the soft compound, and try to be nice to them on this stage. And then hopefully I'll have a bit of a tire advantage because that helped me out a lot in Japan was my tire strategy. So I'm hoping that this big lad here, it looks really technical. I don't think that the tire will matter too much, but I guess we'll see at the end.
We will see indeed. The tire wear very, very unpredictable. But I think you're underestimating yourself at the minute. I'm sure a lot of our viewers will be saying to themselves, I wish I could drive as good as Aerotech. So wish you all the best for the last 2 stages, and hopefully we'll see you at the end in one piece.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Thank you,
The
Era.
most
I do believe we can get an honour interview from I think either Michael or Flember. Who should we get?
Oh, I want to interview Ambient Mike based on just his driving of the 6R4. I want to get his opinion before that last big stage of whether he can manage the tires. Mr. Ambient Mike, hello, hello. How's it
Howdy,
going so
howdy.
far?
Not too bad. I've had only a few minor mistakes. I actually just had a penalty where I may have done the true Group B experience of hitting somebody on the side, but for the most part, in a
Oh,
very underpowered car, it's going as well as I could imagine.
Just want to point out the 6R4 was not involved in any of those real life incidents, paradoxically. So there you go. Filling in the blanks for history, sadly. But the car must be it's rear engined. It's not got a lot of power, which means that you have to push very sort of aggressively to keep up with the other cars. How are you managing that? And is it a lot more difficult to drive or easier?
It's a bit mixed, honestly. I personally, I love the Metro. I'm used to how it handles. You can definitely really play around with the weight by lifting off and kind of using the lift off oversteer to your advantage. Because of the lack of power, I definitely have to try to carry as much momentum. So trail braking is really, really important in it, but it's going decently.
And what do you think about the last stage, 35 kilometers? Do you think you're going to be pushing through that one, or because we had Aerotech saying he's going to drive at 70% only? So what's your strategy?
I think for the most part, it's a stage that 30 minutes in a Group B car, you really just have to get into a rhythm. I'll probably be driving at 80%. Just the amount of time you can make up just going slowly, but not losing any time will outgain anybody who's pushing and wrecking.
Sounds like a good plan. I can only hope that it goes so smoothly for you as the way you're speaking about it.
I can guarantee you it will not.
Well, I hope that doesn't become true, but I'm not going to do anything to say yes or no on that one. You know my history of giving drivers good or bad luck.
Again, I think I'm pre-built with a bit of bad luck, but we throw the ESA equation and it adds up.
Yeah, just looking here at some of the drivers who have started in the stage, they look to be really struggling on those harder compound tires. So it might be a case, as you say, of driving to the limits of the car. But you're one of the most consistent drivers, and the last question I have is, how would you be that consistent? I'd love to know, because I'm not that consistent. So how do you manage that?
I think a big part of it is knowing your own limits. A lot of it, I mean, majority of the time, even when you want to be pushing, I might be driving at 90 to 95%, and really just trying to listen to the pace notes, paint like a mental picture of what those notes are ahead of you, and really just trying to stay 1, 2, or 3 steps ahead.
Fascinating stuff. I couldn't have said it any better, to be honest, in terms of describing it. That's a very vivid picture. Well, I can only guess that it's nearly time for you to start your stage, so I will not delay you any further unless Jess has anything to add.
Nothing for me, but I have to say, you done very well in stage 4, 26th overall. I think one of the top creators so far tonight in stage 4. So good job. Keep best of luck for the remaining 2 stages. We won't keep you any longer. We'll let you go and do the last 2 stages. Best of luck.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
So speaking of stage 5, that's where we are right now with the likes of Punju and Era and Dark Viper currently as well. Chilavingo, 8.5 kilometers, and we're heading into the night time here in Chile, sunset, and they had a bit of their last service area before they go to the final 2 stages. Let's just hope they got some hard tyres still in their pocket for them to negotiate the 8.5 kilometer stage for stage 5 and the 34.7 kilometer stage. Oh,
Punju's got a puncture, a massive crash right there.
90-second penalty.
Yeah, because he has to repair the puncture. These cars quite undrivable with a puncture, sadly, compared to the modern cars. So you will easily lose 90 seconds, especially up in the uphill sections coming up here. Just the car got out of hand. They're quite heavy, these cars, and they don't turn instantly, as Ambient Mike was saying, and also Aerotech was saying as well. So you have to be very measured in how you approach it, and Punju just got it wrong over the crest and out of line and spinning, and unfortunately a small collision can get you a puncture indeed. But yeah, very tricky in general, especially on the harder compound tires. I was going to mention, now that we've got the harder compound tires on, the gaps in the overall leaderboard have closed up a lot. On this stage, Baconator is provisionally leading the stage times, with Gresh in second. As Punju on his roof again, he's made the same mistake and into a tree. He's found the only tree there that he could have crashed into, ironically. But it looks like he is really struggling for grip. Just the car not turning, and then he's getting into all sorts of trouble with the banks and stuff. But anyway, the top 3, just briefly, before anything else happens, as Punju up on the bank once again, I will get it my sentence in. 2.5 seconds between the top 3 was going to be my point there. So the gap's closing up.
Yeah, the usual protagonist in the top 3, I have to say. So well done to him. And obviously we've got ZYQC, who's doing the final stage right now as we speak, actually. So best of luck. Let me know how it goes if you're watching this back. He was 4th in the 5th stage, 9 seconds behind, but still a good time with a 5:50. So, but I would expect times for most of these guys to be around about the 6 minutes, as Punju's had a bit of a moment again. He's got to be careful to be disqualified. Now, they were on the softs at the start of the event. Now they're on the hards. It's more tricky to be on the hards in these type of conditions than the softs. So it's going to be more slippery. They've got to be more careful.
Dark Viper, 20 seconds reset penalty. I'm not sure what that was for. I think he missed the junction. But it's all going wrong for them. I think they're so focused. Here's my prediction. They're so focused on the next stage that they're just thinking this one's already done. Like, this is the easy part, so I'm not going to concentrate. I'm going to keep my concentration fresh for the 35-kilometer stage. And they're making all of these mistakes because they're sort of just driving this one, you know? It lulls you into a false sense of security. And as you were just saying, the softs, or the harder tires, but they're softs and super softs, the soft tires will change the balance of the car, and we've got 2 wet stages or snowy stages here, which just bleed all of the grip completely from the car. And Viper apparently has just repaired a puncture as well. I managed to miss that off of my camera here. But again, you do not want to be getting a puncture here, because that means you've got no spare for the 35 kilometers. And there's one thing I can guarantee you're not going to do, is drive 35 kilometers on a punctured tire.
No.
It will drive you crazy.
You do not want that. And Aero and Punju in sync again, but don't forget Punju may have had picked up a few penalties, so it will be
penalty.
Yeah, 90-second penalty. So 6:25 for Aerotech right now, which is what we would expect for him. So pretty decent. So I think it will be around about 7 minutes and 40 something for Punju. That's what I'm guessing based on this 90-second penalty. So
8 minutes 15 from what I can see.
Okay.
And Aerotech,
So you must
6
put more
minutes
penalties.
25. 6 minutes 25. No, it was just a 1 minute 30, but he had multiple spins and crashes as well. So
right.
it's a disastrous stage there for Punju. I don't know how to explain that one. He was being fairly consistent up until now, but it seems like he's just had one of those
Vlembar.
stages. Vlembar doing quite well. I'm just trying to check his time here.
5 minute 53 was his time. So that would be 5:50.
That would be 5th or 6th place. I cannot see it on RaceNet for some reason, but it is P6. P6 apparently, according to RaceNet here. So very, very competitive time. 11.5 seconds off the pace. But that's once again to Baconator and Grace, who are absolutely sending it. And Lois, also another one of our drivers who's finished on the podium before, absolutely sending it as well. So it's just so many drivers just throwing caution to the wind, and I can't quite understand it, because they've got a 35 kilometer stage coming up and they could damage the car. Curious. And I think we have lost Jess.
Hey, I'm here. Sorry. Yeah, I think it must have been the Ethernet cable that had a bit of a spell. I was talking for like 10 seconds. I was like, why can nobody hear me? And I realised that it just not
we might
worked.
have had a small, maybe, I don't want to name the program, but it begins with dis and ends with chord problem. There, which happens from time to time in commentary, but we got there eventually.
We got there. Yeah, we got there. Why did it have to happen towards the end of the broadcast? Yeah.
There's nothing like a bit of discord in commentary.
Exactly.
Legit, the bad jokes. I apologise for that one.
Oh, wow. But yeah, John with his puns, I like it. Every commentator I work with always likes to have puns, as I believe Dark Viper's just finished the stage. So another stage he's finished, which good job for him. So where is he? He's not in the top 100 this time. He's 193rd.
193rd, yeah. And yeah, he got 90 seconds worth of penalties. So yeah, again, so many drivers getting a puncture in this one. I think this stage does have a lot of trackside obstacles, and the average speed is quite high as well. So you've got the combination of a change of tyre compound, which can upset the balance and the setup of the car. You've got the lighting conditions. It's not, it's a sunset, I think, on this stage.
Yes.
Or indeed quite bad lighting conditions, as you can see from ambient mic there. And you've also got the roadside obstacles, which means that if you just go offline once, you don't have the grip to recover the car, and you're just going to end up in a world of pain. And sadly, for some of our drivers, it has happened. And I think most of them I ended up jinxing, so we'll gloss over that, and
You jinxed
keep on
pretty
looking
much
at ambient
everyone. Yeah. So I think Mike was in the 6 minute 15, 6 minute 20, I think, for Mike there. So that will put him 21st. 6 minute 7. Wow.
Yeah, 6 minutes 7. That is a great time, I will say, in the 6R4. Not an easy time to get in that car, and I think he's the first Metro 6R4 on that stage, which is just amazing.
That that is correct. Let me
He is.
reload RaceNet.
He is.
So I could-
He's the first Metro 6R4 on the stage. I've just reloaded it. Incredible. As we've got some drivers now into the last stage, and as you can see, it's snowfall and also you're going into the nighttime conditions now. So this is all just the worst conditions, apart from maybe fog, that you could have for a 35-kilometer stage. What's your guess on how many drivers are going to finish this stage cleanly / without a puncture?
Oh, I'm gonna say half. I think half
Wow.
are gonna finish. I'm being optimistic. I want most people to finish, but there has been people that have already used their puncher. What do you call it? The puncher penalty on the tires, so they don't have any spares left. So for some of those people, if I were them, I'll be a bit worried. But I think talking of Punju here is one of them. But I think he's gonna keep it calm in this stage, of course. Just conditions. Light snow. As we were interviewed with Punju earlier on, he was probably glad it wasn't heavy snow, because I don't think John Nobody would make it to the end if it was heavy snow. So we got away lightly with light snow.
Yes, indeed, it could be a tiny bit worse. However, I don't think any of the drivers will be saying anything like that, as we can see just the drivers absolutely sending it. And Aerotech, whoa, that was very close from Aerotech there, up on the bank. But unlike Punju, he managed to recover it somehow. I think just the different characteristics between the cars, really. The Quattro is quite unforgiving. It has a lot of bodywork that can get caught sometimes. And Punju straight into the fence.
Oh,
I can't
no.
believe it. He locked up. It's so easy to do. That corner tightens so much. And he was on the brakes trying to get it stopped, but straight into the barrier. And that's not going to help his confidence. He's only a sector into the stage. And from my calculations, it has 16 sectors. So a long way to go. And also, he might not have a spare tyre. So if he does get a puncture, it's effectively game over. I also want to emphasize on the fact that drivers have to at least somewhat push during this stage, because there are 5 points available as part of the power stage. So Vlembar, who chose this location, has been especially mean to all of our creators here.
Yeah, it is a bit mean. So I think it's going to reward the drivers that have been a bit conservative towards the middle half. The likes of Mike. So I think Mike kept it quite clean earlier on as well. So they will have some spare tyres to deal with. But I do feel we could see at least a few people getting 90-second penalties, and I expect two punches from one driver, I think, in this stage. It is not the easiest stage, as we were saying earlier, and it is estimated to take about 25 minutes, 26 minutes, and the fastest time was set by Rody so far with a 24:54, 3 seconds clear of Low in second. And Rody's teammate, Naper, in third place with a 25:16. So those times were close there. Monkey Matt did well in that stage as well. P6 overall for him so far in the race net standings. 25 minutes and 30 seconds. You two, of course, can get involved and let us know how you got on. I thought I saw quite a few people get involved in the chat. I'm just trying to see how many people have finished the stage so far. 176 according to. Oh no! Wait, no! My bad. No, it's it's hard to tell. 138. 138 people.
That's not a lot, I will be quite honest.
No.
I think these stages are extremely punishing. I wanted to make a comment also about the difference in driving styles. So you've got the 4 people on screen here, and 3 of them are using the handbrake. But if you look at Punju's driving style, he's chucking the car sideways a lot more and using the Scandinavian flick because he's dedicated himself to not using the handbrake. And if you look very closely at the driving styles, you can really see where that has an effect. You can really see where Punju is losing time, essentially. And right there, he would have wanted to use the handbrake into that corner to just get the car rotated so he didn't go into the steel poles. But because he's not using the handbrake, he just understeered into it, and that's the danger with these cars. Because they've got such little grip, especially at low speeds, you can get yourself in trouble. As Mr. Kamikaze going all the way up the bank there as well. I think he was banking on the fact that there was a lot of grip up there, but might have been mistaken. Just adding to the puns while we're at it. So far, no sort of major happenings at the moment. I'm quite surprised and quite relieved, to be honest, because you know the one thing you need to a stage like this is a extremely good start. I remember when I was doing the WRC esports in 2022, the Japanese stage that we were doing was the longest stage, I think, of 21 kilometers, and it started in the wet but you had to start on dry tires because it was a drying track essentially. And
Wow.
you lost confidence, and the gaps were 10, 20 plus seconds. Punju, no, he doesn't get away with it. I can't believe it. He'd done
made another
everything
mistake.
correctly. He'd done everything correctly to recover that. Just neatly corrected it off the bank, and then there's a tree just at the end, like placed there just for, I think I'll have to rename that tree after him, to be honest. That's incredible.
Yes.
That he's managed to find that one. But yes, back to the story for 5 seconds. The difficulty was that once you'd got the confidence back, you found yourself 20 seconds down. So the start of this stage for our drivers is crucial, because if you don't get that confidence, if you don't find that rhythm, like Aerotech and Ambient Mike were describing, then you can end up in a world of trouble, if not miles off the pace.
I think I would like to rename I think Punju's not battling with people anymore. Punju versus the tree. Because there's a lot of trees he's hit today, so I wonder if the trees are gonna come back to bite him if he's not too careful. I think it looks like Aero and Punju are pretty much in sync with the track so far, which is similar to what they were earlier on as well. We've got Flemba and Dark Viper on their runs as well to see how they could do a call. This is quite mentally tough for some drivers that may not be used to this, but obviously most of our stages end in these type of events, so they're probably used to it by now. But you think that you're home and host and you're done, but then you realise you've got another like 20 minutes to go after you've done your 7 minutes, and you've got to do another sort of like 2 stages in one pretty much as well. This is a very long stage. As Dark Viper makes a mistake in the background, he can hardly see much as well. It's dust conditions right now, you can see on your screen with Dark Viper, and he's got it's interesting to see that he's got less visibility compared to everybody else.
It's worth noting, we've had this in the past, it's worth noting, so he just messes up there onto the grass. He put one wheel on the grass and then on the brakes, and it was just sliding into the barrier. Got away with it though, it looks like. He is using a HDR monitor, which means that the footage that we get is either brighter or darker than what it is appearing as on his screen. That's just one of the ways the capture software works. So that's why we're seeing a lot darker
It
footage.
looks pretty good.
But it adds to the dramatic effect. It's like going to the cinema and watching a film.
Yeah, it does look pretty good, to be fair. I know with the streaming software now, they've really improved the fact that they can tone map the HDR footage to make it SDR, which looks really nice. The Flemba almost had a bit of a moment there going through the middle half of the first part of the stage so far. And interesting to note as well, Dark Viper is using a Formula rim, whereas most people are using either a GT rim or a rally rim. So that's going to be, I think, fair play for Dark Viper to do that. To be fair, when I was doing WRC, I think when it first came out, I was doing the same. So I can feel for Dark Viper, to be fair, but it can show it is possible to do it on any technology. As Flumbar is off, he's got a penalty.
Yeah, Vlembar missed. It looks like missed a junction there and just slid off the road. And rather than taking the effect of potentially a major crash, he just decided to pause while he was at very low speed and reset to track. But catching out the best of the drivers here, and Vlembar, it's worth noting once again that Vlembar chose this location, so a very, very, I'd say unlucky rally for him, to be honest. I'm sure he chose it because of the difficulty, but I think he would have expected to have a bit more luck out there.
Yeah, usually when you choose a rally, you would expect to be doing well in it, but sometimes you want to challenge yourself. And for there's some stages so far tonight, he's done very well, but the first couple of stages not so well, where he had punches as well throughout the start of the stint, and that doesn't leave you in good stead for this stage, where you've really got to use everything you got and really full commit, especially with the tyres you've got currently as well. So 10 minutes has gone for Kamikaze and Punji right now as well. Aerotech is about a minute ahead of them so far, and still everyone, touch wood, is keeping it on the road. It'll be interesting to know how Mike is doing currently as well on his run. Hopefully he's doing okay as well.
Kamikaze lost his headlights. I do not know what was going on there, but Kamikaze turned off his headlights for 4 or 5 seconds. I have absolutely no idea what was going on there. Maybe he pressed the wrong button. He's turning off his headlights. Is he trying to see whether the visibility is better without the headlights?
Sometimes is he doing the no headlight challenge?
Yeah, indeed. This is the wrong location. You need to be in Japan for that, Mr. Kamikaze. But you need to be in a Toyota as well. But glossing over that, I do not understand, because the snow visibility isn't that bad. And Vlembar making another mistake as well. I think clipping the rear and just getting spun around. It's really interesting, and clipping the wall again. It looks like the tires are not heating up at all, and it just seems that there's just no grip.
No grip from him. If you don't have a headlight around here, especially in the dusk, it's going to be very, very, very tricky for the creators to negotiate as well. And as we speak, by the way, I've just looked at the RaceNet leaderboards. We have a new leader by quite some way, actually. Rody does not talk anymore. ZY in the chat, 24 minutes, 32 seconds. He has beaten Rodies by 22 seconds. So people have a new time to beat if you want to beat everyone in stage 6. So ZY, brilliant stage there. He said to me it was difficult, but that was impressive. That puts him overall P2 so far.
Yeah, that's an incredible time. I will give absolute 100% props for that, because to be that consistent and fast over 35 kilometers, that demands something truly special. So I'm sure they're very, very proud of it. Ambient Mike turning off their lights as well. Now, I've heard from Monkey Matt as well in the Twitch chat here that he turned his lights off as well. And so that maybe the visibility is that bad. I can see from Ambient Mike's screen actually that you can see the road a lot because of the damp track, because of all of that snow on the road. You can see it perfectly. The problem is you cannot see anything of the other things that matter, which includes trees, rocks, logs, banks, and more trees, as you can see right there.
It's like the tree wars. It's like the tree wars. So I think as it gets darker, there we go, and Mike's got it on now. So
here's a question for a trap. If you can't see the tree, does it exist? And will you crash into it? This is what you've got to ask yourself. And one thing also that I saw from Monkey Matt here, very, very funny comment. It's like Vlembar chose the rally expecting everyone to struggle, but then he's had the worst of it. And I can honestly say
I agree.
I can 100% agree. He sounded confident before the broadcast of like, this is going to be a good rally and all of that. Difficult, but a good rally. And unfortunately, he seems to have had exactly the worst of it.
Yeah, he seems to have the worst out of most people so far, which is not ideal, but it'll be interesting to see after tomorrow who comes out on top, because people will still have quite a decent amount of time, just under 12 hours to go until the stage is over. As Dark Viper had a bit of a mistake earlier on his run, which is called, that's why he's down on his time by like by quite some way, but he's still ploughing on, which is great to see. Everyone is ploughing on so far as well. Aerotech's halfway through. He's got about 10-12 minutes to go until the end of his stage. Oh,
Punju's in trouble here.
Punju's in trouble. His bumper's gone.
Not only that, but he's got radiator damage. That's the more important one. The bonnet's gone now.
It's gone.
Yeah, the engine, the bonnet's fine. That'll keep it cool. But the radiator damage is the real issue right there. He's going to. Wow, he's got half the stage to go, near enough exactly. That is going to be serious problems from the end of the stage.
And you can see the visibility. Oh my goodness! It's kind of like having a halo. You can't see a thing. So fair play. And to answer your question, I think a few people have said it in the chat. Trees exist, but then again, if you can't see it, you can't crash into it. That's what Fitch and War Channel has said in the chat. So there we go.
I wish that were true.
I wish it was true, but unfortunately it's not. If you can't see it, that doesn't necessarily mean you'll crash into it. If I can't see it, usually I do crash into it. So
the only way to win is to not start the stage. Then you can't crash into the tree.
But that means
but then
your
again,
DNF
that's no fun at all.
That means you won't. That means you won't finish at all. So there we go.
So in all cases, the tree wins. Right, understood.
Yeah, so the tree
wins.
wins.
Dark Viper crashes straight into a tree trunk. As I say that, I cannot believe it.
Oh my
and
God.
radiator damage to boot as well.
We both talked about trees, so that was both of us, not just you. Oh my goodness!
I'm not going to lie, I'm in absolute hysterics right now.
Oh God. Right, what's going to be the object that the drivers will have to avoid next week then, in the next week's broadcast? This week is trees. Next week I think probably logs or something, I don't know. It depends
everything.
Yeah, it depends what whoever's top gets to pick right now, as Punju keeps hitting everything known to man at the moment. Overall, it's Lowell who's top at the moment. So as it stands, if it stays as it is, he will get to pick the track for next week.
Tracks are already picked, actually, just to.
For the final three stages. Oh, okay.
So we have we have next week Rally Scandia in the S2000 class, which is actually a really fun combo. I've done it before. Majoritarily like 80% full throttle on that one. The cars have not little power, but you have to keep the revs up. And so on a very tricky snow location with very, very slow corners, that could be as challenging as Chile is this week. So
I can't wait to see that. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see that, of course, as well. At the moment, and House Game is saying in the Twitch chat, is it even a 30k stage if you don't get radiator damage? That is true. I think most people, have got radiator damage today in the final stage, because it is that treacherous right now as well. For fair play to all of them for keeping going so far as well. You can still, of course, get involved as well. I'm trying to get the YouTube chat on my screen, but I'm scared that my internet's going to go again. So I'll leave it there at the moment so far. As Mike almost had a moment again, but he's just keeping it calm right now. Sometimes you don't want to overdrive it, but sometimes you do. As Mike's got his headlights off for this point. Now, that's the part of the track where you do not want to have it. But Mike's deciding no. Maybe.
I think actually there's part of the roads here. I'm seeing a pattern. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm seeing a pattern here. In that the drivers are turning the headlights off when there's more snow on the side of the road, because that's very easy to see where the track limits are. And then when it gets a bit more patchy in terms of the snow, the lights come back on. That's what I've seen so far. I may be wrong in that. But also, as it gets darker, bear in mind this stage started at dusk conditions. As it gets darker, the moonlight or the natural light that you had going onto the stage will get less and less. So actually that strategy of turning off your headlights may not work anymore. As you can see for Punju, he's got no chance of having the headlights on. I think they're broken completely now.
Oh, and, no.
If there's no snow, like in that corner, if there's no snow on the ground, you cannot see where you're going. and this could be a major, major problem for Punju.
Yeah, and he's had enough problem as it
Oh.
is, and as he just said it, you can't even see he's going to reset to track, and he's got a penalty. Oh,
Yeah,
that
just
damage
clipping
is
the
not
bank.
helping. Yeah.
Yeah, it just, I mean, it's probably just correcting the car, to be honest. The tires probably slipping a lot and the car going from left to right, and just managed to clip the bodywork once again on the bank. It's so easily done, and especially when you've got no lights to show you where the edges of the bank are, like, it was guaranteed to happen almost. But look, he's getting through the stage. He doesn't have a puncture so far, and everything on that front is going well, because if he finishes the rally, he will get points. That's the main point of the matter. You've got to think about the championship, especially when you've had a bad stage or a puncture or stuff like that. So maybe some other drivers will have even worse of a stage.
Yeah, there might be drivers that probably we didn't see that are not doing so well potentially. So Punju could still get some good points out of this, because don't forget we've got 2 different standings. We've got the race net standing, which all of you can get involved with, and it's also the creator standings, where as I said, that Punju's had another off yet again. This time not with a tree, but with the edge of the track there at the moment. But yeah, there's the creator standings, which is everyone that's in the creator series has done some events already this season. There was a few that didn't take part in the last few rounds but are still in the standings. There will be a few joiners again next week, so a few people trying. Flambar's still on top of that, so with Flambar struggling tonight, this could get very tight at the top. Aaron made a big mistake. Oh, no.
Same thing as Punju. Just clipped the back. He managed to recover it. I mean, credit.
Yeah.
He recovered that really well. The drifting skills probably coming into effect there. But he clipped the bank, and all of a sudden you could see panic in the wheel corrections and movements. And it all went wrong from there, but he managed to recover it somehow. I'd love to hear his version of events there. Kamikaze off the road. Huge moment off the road, and that's going to be a reset penalty, I think maybe of 30 seconds. He was going at a vast rate of knots. I think what's happened here is he's broken his main headlights, so you get an extra set of headlights that are clamped onto the front of the car, and I think he's had an impact at some point that have removed those headlights, because from his perspective, I cannot see Fords like on the other perspectives. The middle headlights are missing, which means you can only see to the side. And that means that driving is almost blind as you can see it. And that's making it really tricky. But
It's impossible.
He's pushing flat out, and as you can see, he is pushing way over the limit. So is Punju as well. Everybody's spinning at the same time here. It's getting to the end. You think you're safe. You're within the last quarter of the stage, and you're like, I've done it. I'm home and dry. And then that's when the mistakes start happening. It's always when you think you're safe. And again, Kamikaze just clipping the... this is the part of the stage, by the way, where they had the problems last stage. This is the last section here, which was the short stage of stage 5. And they're having to do it in the dark now with the damaged car. Some of them no headlights.
Radiator damage. Oh, it's Kamikaze's had a spin.
I think that Kamikaze was in the junction. I'm not sure.
Oh, he's in a junction. Okay, never mind. Panic over. I thought he had a spin.
I will 100% give that one to you, because I can hardly see anything. I only have my stage knowledge to guide me right now. And look at how little you can see. It's incredible. But I will say...
His headlights off now. Kamikaze, to be fair, despite those mistakes, he's heading towards the end of the stage coming up soon.
That was lucky as well, clipping the bank. He is near the end of the stage. He's got 2 sectors left to go. And I honestly think that the headlights are actually more distracting, because your eyes get used to the lower half of the screen.
As you said, that Punju's had a moment again.
I mean, he's got his headlights back on at least. He has found, the Italian and German electronics of the 80s, apparently not very good quality, but the lights keep going in and out.
Wow.
Very realistic, actually. Light failures were very, very common back in the days, but yeah, it's very tricky. I honestly think he'd be better off turning his headlights off for EXR Kamikaze, because I think he's getting distracted by what he can see on the sides, compared to what he can see in front of him.
Yeah, I think people would assume that having headlights on is a good thing. And speaking of Kamikaze, as you just said that, he's had a bit of a moment and he's almost finished. Imagine if you had a moment towards the end and you were doing so well and you think you were going to finish and then you end up retiring. You do not want to be at that stage, as most people are finishing right now. We're approaching the 24-minute mark for Kamikaze, so not quite the time we would expect to be near the top so far. Don't forget the time to beat is a 5-minute. No, never mind. That's stage one. Never mind.
24:32 is the time to beat
24.
so far.
24:32. So yeah, that's by ZY and obviously Monkey Matt. If
I
he's
think
going
Punju
off
has
times.
a puncture.
Yeah, Punju definitely has the punch. He's struggling to control the car.
I'm not sure, but the car did not look like it was handling correctly in there. So either he has suspension damage to the point where he's got steering damage and he can't actually steer the car properly. But that car is very, very poorly, and he's definitely going at a reduced pace right now. One of the things I was going to mention, actually, but I was going to mention that a long time ago, I just never got the chance, is the fact that these cars majoritarily have viscous differentials. And what that means is they were, well, up until the 2000s, they weren't banned in the WRC. But they were an attempt to get the power delivery a lot more stable. But, however, they have a side effect in that when you get worn tyres, so on a 35-kilometre stage like this one, it can make the power delivery even more unpredictable front versus rear, so you can get understeer, oversteer, and all of that. So I think people like Kamikaze and Punju, who's got damage, when they're trying to push a little bit to gain time back, they're falling foul of the tyre wear now, which is, you know, normal. It's you know, nothing about their driving skill whatsoever, but they will be wanting to get to the end of the stage. And as we can see, EXR Kamikaze, I think the first to finish the stage here, past the British flag on the left that I briefly saw, and across the finish line in a 26.19, and straight off the road, and that car is going to the scrap heap. Look at it. There's no bodywork on the rear of it.
No, it doesn't look like it, but at least that he's finished and he's able to get the car plugged in the right direction. So yeah, 93rd for him.
23rd on that stage.
23rd. I thought you said 93rd. My
It's
brain.
just my accent. No worries.
It is your accent. So 23rd so far. Can anyone beat that? We've still got a few more people. Oh, it's Punju's hit the wall again. So that will be the 9th time that he's hit that wall today. That Audi could be a handful.
So 47th for Aerotech, 2 minutes 43 off the winning time of that stage. I will say that's not a bad stage at all as Vlembar crosses the line. I think he hit the finish marker. Is he going to try and do donuts? I'm not quite sure. Not quite. I think the car's too damaged.
Yeah, don't do donuts. You don't want a DNF, John.
No. Well, he's after the finish line, so technically he won't DNF, but
fair
you know,
enough,
I think the car is just completely too far gone.
Wow.
7th, incredible. 52 seconds. Is that 52? 57, I think. 57 seconds off the lead. That is an incredible time.
I think that is impressive. I believe. I think we have someone waiting for an interview.
I think we do. And it is Mr. Kamikaze. How do you think of that rally then? That looks like a treacherous last stage, with the headlights going off and on, with a few mistakes, not being able to see. What went on there?
Yep. No, the rally was fun. It's hard, of course. Actually, I turned the lights on and off on the stage because sometimes it was easier to see the road without lights. So
Very smart.
that was me.
Yeah. So what I suspected was true then, that just some stages, was that due to the snow then, lighting up the stage, or the lighting conditions where, you know, sometimes it was providing a reflection, or what was that about?
Yeah, that was the wet surface in the darkest area of the stage. And some places the moon shine on the stage, and the stage shine up. So much easier to do it without lights.
Yeah, I can. Well, easy. Define easy. It's subjective, I think. I'd still rate it as very difficult with or without the headlights strategy. How do you think of your rally in general? We saw a few mistakes, but then again, some very good pace from yourself. Were you happy with your progression?
Yes, I am. I have no practice. I started half an hour before the stream starts, and I'm looking forward to next one.
Next one is S2000s in Scandia. What do you think about? Oh, Scandia. I can answer this one for him, chat. He's gonna love this because it's one of his favorite rallies.
Yes, it is, and
I can see his reaction on stream as well. He's like, yes.
He knows what's up.
Of course, we're gonna go hard. We're aiming for victory on snow. You know me as well. Hello snow, hello Scandia. But we will see. It's a long rally, and it's a tight one as well.
Yes, yeah, lots of slow corners, a bit like Chile, just with the snowbanks, basically. A lot of slow corners, junctions, hairpins, and a lot of blind crests and stuff like that to catch you out. So definitely, if you've done well in this one, then you've got a good chance in the next one. Put it that way.
Yeah, and we're gonna start this evening with no practice, and we managed to do the times we're gonna do. We did. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. Some of the guys, I know them on the top of the leaderboard. It's insane, especially Lawless. I know he's in the chat as well in the stream. So
yeah, the times have been absolutely stellar from some people. Obviously, a few of them having a few problems, either with the hardware side of things. Some of them with a few crashes as well. But you know, you said it, and a lot of drivers have said it tonight. To finish first you have to finish. You know, you've got to be consistent, get to the end, and be happy with what you've done. And you know, you got to the end. You got to the end with a good time. And I think I'm speaking for you at this point, but I think you can agree with me that Group B at Chile is possibly one of the hardest locations.
yeah, and in the mid stage, we forgot to change the tires as well, so we raced it to middle stage with the worn tires. So
Oh.
yeah, pretty happy. We couldn't do any better with the equipment we have, so pretty happy.
Well, that will explain a lot then. I can't even start to imagine how that must have felt in terms of driving. Like on ice?
Slippery well wet.
Wow.
That's a quote. That's a quote of all time. Jess, have you got any questions?
I just have to say it's great to see you doing the rally as well, navigating through the difficult stages. I have to say I don't envy you as well. But fingers crossed for you. Next week, I think we will see you more in your element. You're in your element tonight, but we will probably see you as probably one of the drivers to beat next week. So best of luck next week, and well done, valiant effort tonight. You did a really great job.
Thank you.
Couldn't have said it any better. He needs an extra jinx, however, next week. And we have Vlembar in now for an interview. A tricky rally from yourself, one that you organised personally yourself in terms of the cars and the location. Didn't work out for you at the start. Were you able to regain some confidence maybe towards the end?
Yeah, definitely. After the first service, I think everything went relatively smooth. Still had like 3 or 4 mistakes. Like 3 surely on the last one, and I think 2 before. But except that, it went fairly smooth after the first 2, so can't complain. Could have been way worse. So.
Yeah, the pace looked very, very well, stellar, just on the limit. So, I'm guessing that the overall result may not have been what you wanted. Obviously, you always want to win the event that you organise, but I just want to say it's been absolute, just hilarious watching the driving and the skills of all the drivers, I will say they've done an absolute amazing demonstration of talent. Do you think the event panned out how you expected it for everybody else, or have you been keeping track of everybody else, or just focused on yourself?
I actually didn't keep really track of the other drivers, so I don't know if they ran into big trouble. So
A few punctures here and there, but
Yeah?
overall, I
Okay.
think they did very, very good.
So I'm not alone.
So you're not alone. Yes, indeed. Sadly. But I think we can congratulate you maybe for the most difficult car choice and location of this series so far. I thought the one in what was it, Corsica in the WRC cars was possibly one of the worst, but this one takes the biscuit so far.
Yeah, I agree. After Rally France, basically, I already thought it couldn't get too more difficult, but yeah, I'm also looking at the next rally now, which is Scandia, and there's also a 30-kilometer stage in there as well. So
Ooh.
that rally will also be very interesting.
It certainly will. It certainly will. Snow, more snow. It seems like a theme this year, just having snow and adverse weather conditions. The length of the rallies might have got a bit shorter, but the conditions and stage choices have got significantly more difficult. So,
For sure, I've become more demanding. Yeah.
indeed. Any other questions, Miss Jess?
Don't have much as well, but I have to say that there has been a few off, but it was a great great event to watch. So thanks for showing us the Group B cars in such great fashion as well. But next week as well, we hope to see you do well in the snow once again, but shorter stages. But let's hope you could do well there too, and hopefully much better luck compared to this week. but well done to you for some of the stages. You did very well tonight, so great job.
Thank you very much.
And last question from me about the championship. I think Kamikaze's finished in front of you, so gaining a few points. You worried yet about the top of the standings, or is it comfortable still?
I actually did manage to finish 8 tenths in front of Kamikaze at the end.
Overall, I'm just seeing that.
I will. Oh yeah, I just seen it. Yeah.
I take it back. I absolutely take it back. No worries. Good job.
I don't know if he mentioned it, but he had a poor mistake that he accidentally didn't choose new tires for the last two. So
yeah, he did say. Yeah, he did say. Yeah.
So
that
was
cost him dearly.
This time luck on my side. So
yeah. Well, there's I think 10 hours remaining to set a time, so somebody could swoop in and nab a few points, but most definitely a very solid effort from you, and I can wish you all the best for the next ones.
Thank you very much.
I think we should get people that have been so in sync together throughout the whole rally. Punju and Aero as well. But first of all, welcome back in. Punju, you must have hit the tree so many times. We lost count.
Yeah. I decided to put on my flannel shirt and become a lumberjack that time around. It was not, you know that guy on TikTok who like swings the axe and everybody loves him, he's super jacked?
Oh yeah,
I was that guy just without the muscles. Like it was a lot of fun, kind of, not really actually. It was really hard. It all went downhill on the second to last stage, and that final stage was just a continuation of the defeat. But it was fun. It was fun.
I will be keeping that quote.
Yeah.
Like him, but without the muscles. That's a new one. I'm keeping that one.
So I know someone in the chat was counting how many times you hit something.
That's
bullying.
That was Fitch and War, not me.
Okay, there's
and our producer was counting as well. So
Awesome.
anyway, carry on, John.
What do I follow up with from that one? That's just emotional damage at this point. It was complicated for both of you. Mistakes and difficulties with road conditions, tires, even the cars. They're not the easiest things to drive, but you were so in sync until unfortunately Punju got that puncture. But
Yeah.
what can you take from both of you from this week in terms of the fact that the competition is closing up and that mistakes matter more and more?
Well, Arrow, you said it best. I'll let you answer that question.
Yeah, it's just nice to have a playmate.
Yeah.
Like when I joined last season, I felt like I was kind of in my own little world where like I was competitive, but I was still very off of like the top time. So I was kind of just sitting in the middle of the leaderboard somewhere, which is fine. But I was like, I'm very competitive. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put the work in, whatever. And then every rally I did last season, I learned a little bit more. I learned a little bit more. And I'm still out there learning. Like I've never driven Chile in this game ever until this morning.
Okay.
So I
Wow.
was. Yeah, and I'm not really particularly good with the group Bs, but the further I got in the rally, I started to like learn the car a little bit better. I was like learned that I was using way more handbrake than I normally do. Like I was picking up little things. So to have like an active yardstick now that where we're kind of similar, I still think Punju's the better driver overall. I'm just like slowly inching up in terms of like average pace. So if I'm like close now, I'm like cool. I must be doing good. It's fun to like jump out of the stage and go, oh, what was your time? Oh, what was your time? Oh, I lost a little bit of time here. Oh, I gained a little bit of time here. Like it's and we could see the differences in our cars too. Of like, oh, the tighter stages I was doing a little bit better, and like
I had
so
this
much more fun.
absolute chunky tank of a car, and you had this thing that was the width of a pencil. So like, I had a little bit more power, but you could just get through everything.
Yeah,
that
the
was
tighter
really fun.
stages, dude, I was all over you. Like it wasn't even close.
Yeah, I'm looking back at like my replay right now, and I just like keep hitting barriers on the side. It's like little grazes because I just can't quite tell the edges of this quattro. Like you think it's as thin as you think it is, but then there's just so much extra fender on the outside that clips you in every single time. Yeah, it was tough, but it was fun. And you're right. I mean, like it is really fun to race against you, Arrow. Like you're not only a fun and like fair competitor, but like you're fast as heck, and like you definitely underrate yourself a lot. So it's cool to see you living up to like what everybody knows that you can do. So you're crushing.
Shucks.
Yeah, well, I was about to say we've got two drivers here that do not like being given compliments. So I was trying to think, what can I say? But then again, they're giving each other compliments and not liking it. So they're doing my job for me, eh?
You're welcome. Yep, I just watched the part back on my replay where I lost my lights, and it was a little stump. How about that?
Oh.
Yeah. Tricky. It is tricky. The difficulty with these cars, obviously, as you guys know now, is well, probably knew before anyway, is the power versus grip is basically non-existent. And we certainly saw both of you just sliding a little bit all the time, and the mistakes that you both made and just generally in the broadcast, and I think anybody that participated, are just such simple small mistakes that just snowball into the biggest crash you've ever seen. Like one corner that you go offline a little bit, and then you can't get the car slowed down, and off the road you go. So very interesting to see that despite different car choices, different setups, including different driving styles as well, Punju not using the handbrake, still the cars managed to punish you for the mistakes, put it that way.
That they did, yeah. So, Arrow, I like how you said that you started using the handbrake more and more. Did you know that in real life these cars didn't have handbrakes?
You know what? Video game, baby. I'm also not Swedish, 45 years old, and have 3 cigarettes hanging out of my mouth, so I probably can't drive a Group E car in general. So like I'm not. My name's not Sven Svensson. I can't do it, man.
Wow. You're right. I think it has to be good at these cars, doesn't it?
Yeah. Look at Kamikaze. Guess where he's from?
Yeah, it's a fair point.
I'm not surprised.
Vledbar too, also Nordic.
Yeah. Personally,
there we go.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
fair,
if you want to be
man.
good at EA Sports WRC, move.
Just move to Scandinavia. Yeah, there's a correlation here.
You're welcome. I'll take you can PayPal me anytime. My PayPal is I'm joking.
Wait a second.
Oh man, these guys are way too fast.
Yeah,
it's cool though, because like we're learning. I don't know about you, but every time I jump in the like with Mike, I was like, hey, like my car doesn't have a lot of because I don't know like rally tech knowledge. I'm like, my car has no side bite. Like it's not slowing down in the middle of the corner as much as another like a WRC2 would. It's like, yeah, that's your diffs. Like it's just not gonna do that. So in the rally, I compensated. Every corner, I was like, oh, I could like kill speed on the entry by going in a little bit sideways. I'm like, no, because the car won't do that. I'm sure you could do something in the setup, but I've learned a long time ago that if you don't know what the buttons do, don't touch it. So I just changed
And that is
the
where
brake
you're.
selected. Like,
That's where you're beating me because I keep trying to touch the buttons even though I don't know what they're doing.
I'm like, what does this do? And then usually it makes it exponentially worse. Like, so yeah, like even having like it was cool last season having like a list of creators that you could realistically win every week, but having a lot of the really fast guys in here, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm learning a lot more every round now. So it's cool to have like some of the top like 0.1% of the players in the game in this as well. It's awesome. It's fun to watch too.
It's been great.
Indeed.
I agree.
There's the depth of setups now and physics and everything that's being implemented is quite extraordinary. And it does mean that the smallest difference in setup or driving style, as you said, can make such a big difference that it just pushes you out of the operating window and makes it a disaster. So definitely. Obviously, to Group B, it applies even more. I think some of the most unruly cars of all time. But honestly, if you're driving default with all of those problems, all of those things to adjust to, and in Chile for the first time, that was impressive from you, Aerotech. I will say, absolutely impressive.
That
Very
means a lot
impressive. I
coming from
agree.
you.
Yeah, very impressive.
And yeah, from Punju, I'm sorry to say, but a bit of bad luck once again. But the times where it was going well, it was going extremely well. That's the benefit that you can take from that.
Oh, I will take that. You're right. It's just dialing that consistency. I'm excited for next week, man. I like snow. I love snow rallies. When they're not at Chile, this isn't a real snow rally. This doesn't count. I like
so
snow
bummed.
rallies.
I'm so
So
sad.
I'm excited for next week. Yeah, I know you're missing a good one next week.
I'm gonna
Front-wheel
miss the
drive
next
snow?
2 now. I'm
No.
Oh,
I'm
rip.
gonna be in Boston and then New Jersey watching drift cars. So that's don't feel too bad for me.
Wow.
But
Yeah,
There could be worse problems.
yeah, I will be having a great
That's a
time.
good
so-
excuse. That is a good excuse. Have fun with that.
Positive problems. Yep.
Well,
Well,
I
guys.
think we won't hold you for much longer. I just want to say awesome efforts and just spectacular driving. It was a joy to watch, and I'm sure there will be even more spectacular stuff in the upcoming weeks. And
Oh, for sure.
Aerotech, I'm sure that when you come back, you'll be drifting around us like as if we were standing still.
Oh, he will. Be.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Thanks for the broadcast as well. It's
Yes.
super fun to watch back for us, and then thanks for EA for helping put this on. This has been one of the
Yeah.
coolest things I've done in a long time, and it's awesome to be a part of this group.
Oh, too
Could've
sweet.
said it better myself.
Well, thanks, guys. We shall see you later, and thanks again as well for the comms. You guys are epic.
Thank
Bye,
you.
y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah, go enjoy the rest of your evening.
And they vanished before they got the chance to hear
Let's
that.
say bye.
I wonder if we can go through the standings a little bit on the good old RaceNet.
Yes,
so at
we
the
did.
moment, with about 9.5 hours left, we've got Loles, who is still in first by only 6 seconds
Wow.
from ZYQC. In the 205, so 2 different cars at the top of the standings. However, there is a very big correlation between the Lancia Delta and being fastest on the leaderboards, because the next 2 spots are taken up by the Delta. The VBR presented in 3, threes there with VBR Rodies, followed by VBR Callaghan, and then VBR Napavarine in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And other mentionable names, Monkey Matt in 8th. A very, very good time there. Obviously, I think he said made a few mistakes, but honestly can be very, very proud of that time, especially the last stage. In terms of our creators, we had Vlembar in 13th, followed very closely by Mr. Kamikaze in 14th. separated by 0.8 of a second after so many stages. And then Ambient Mike in 15th, paradoxically, only 6 seconds behind EXR Kamikaze as well. So everything bunched up there at the end, which is incredible.
It just goes to show that the ability of those creators is mind-boggling as well. And I do agree with what they were saying in terms of having some of the top guys come and race on the Monday nights. It just helps people improve. It's the same with any series, right? Whether it's F1, ACC, WRC, it's always good to have someone fast that you can learn off. And I think a few of our creators have definitely improved with that as well. Shout out to Dark Viper, by the way. He's finished an actual event this week, so props to him as well. Well done to him as well. I think all of our creators finished this week, John. Is that correct?
I
About the
think
6 that we
so. I
got?
did not see any DNFs at all at any stage. Just going to mention Dark Viper in 138th place. Had a bit
That's
of
good.
tricky, while we were doing the interviews, I was watching his footage, had a bit of a tricky last stage, losing about 6 minutes at the end of that stage, if I am correct. But he managed to finish an event, and that is the main thing, honestly, because he's had such horrendous luck. I wouldn't wish it on anybody else.
Yeah, to finish first, you
So
first have to finish.
indeed, you said it, and it has come true, that's for sure. And in more ways than I would have expected, to be honest. The rally was definitely one where consistency was needed, and the mistakes happened, and they happened thick and fast. But I think they got away lightly, to be honest, with Group B. They got away lightly in terms of impact. A few punctures, but no direct DNFs. 184 players have finished the entire event at the moment, which is, I think that's not going to be a high percentage compared to the participants that started the rally.
No. I think there's going to be obviously more people that are going to take part in this a little bit later on as well, because I know that some people that may be watching for inspiration and then want to have a little bit of a go later. So you don't forget, you can still get involved. Go on to racenet.com. Find us in the EA Sports WRC clubs. We are the EA Creator Series. You have until tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. UK time, to get involved. So can anyone beat the times that are currently set at the moment? And you can see who will top the RaceNet standing. So we won't keep you waiting any longer. First of all, thank you to the guys over at EA Sports for sponsoring this club. Much appreciated, all the hard work that you do as well. Of course, we're on their YouTube channel as well, so massive shout out to you guys. Of course, thank you to our lovely person behind the scenes for keeping us on the straight and narrow, Mr. Gareth Allen, as always. Lovely stuff from him as well. So thank you very much to him as well. And of course, thank you to John for joining me in the commentary box, for being the expert by my side as well, to help me introduce to the world of WRC Rally, which was a lot of fun. So next week's going to be interesting, to say the least, with Scandia is the next stage in the snow. But yeah, thanks, John, for having me tonight. It was really fun.
Yeah, it was a blast as usual. Just seeing drivers pushing to the limits and sometimes above the limits, but we'll gloss over that once again. It's always interesting to see how, even in the most desperate situations, drivers have so much passion for a sport, or passion for just the spirit of competition, that they just keep going. They keep driving. They try and recover from their mistakes. And I think in a lot of other series, you just go, oh, well, I'm 20 seconds behind the leader. I'm going to retire from the race. Or, I'm a lap down. There's no point. I'll just pull into the pits, end of the race.
There's
and
no
all that.
laps down in this type of scenario, is there? It's just everyone wants to finish the stage, the stage, and the entirety of the event. That's what makes WRC so enjoyable and rewarding as well. It's like endurance in a way too. So, and
I was just about to make the comparison to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Sometimes it's just an ambition to finish the event in
Yes.
whatever position you can get, and it's a bit like rally. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, it's a bit of a combination as well, and I know I'll definitely be watching more rally in real life as well, because I've got some channels to do that as well. So after this, so again, thanks to EA Sports as well for our partners as well. Our next stream on the Creator Series channel is on Friday at 7:30 p.m. for the F2 series around Qatar. Then we got the F1 series on at 6 p.m. normal time, because we got no F1 in real life. That's the mystery GP, so they won't know what track they're going to be at until they actually get into the lobby. I think there's some people that are hoping it's not going to be Qatar for that one. And then we will be back on Monday, next Monday, same time, 7:30, for Scandia for EA Sports WRC in the Creator Series. So we're going to head off. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will see you same time next week for some more WRC action. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.